With the new BBFC report that just came out for 2025. I don't always do videos about the annual report itself. I mainly will just discuss it amongst friends and family if they do care to hear about my weird obsession that people accuse me of being autistic about. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to delve into that. I'm going to delve into the facts that we have present. First off, let's get out of the way about the Mary Poppins scandal. As far as I'm concerned, the PG rating for it is overblown. They didn't need to rate it PG. It doesn't make much of a difference as far as I'm concerned because people still treat PG and U almost interchangeably. And you probably will see that with the 12A rating. People treat it as if it's like PG 2.0. I've hinted that at my former co-host Rob Bavister regarding that. And while yes, Hottentot is a word if you look at it in the Oxford English Dictionary and through Google, whatever means you do, not Urban Dictionary obviously, that's not verified. It is an ethnic and racial slur for a group within sub-Saharan Africa. It's not as offensive as the N-word or coon, sambo, those other ones, but it's not a known quantity, and the film is so silly and juvenile. What are you doing? What are you doing? Hunchback of Notre Dame was a hell of a lot more problematic. We're talking about gypsies and one killed them one by one and using like a stone and smashing the insects as if they're like Romani people, and him being sexually harassing and threatening to probably rape her, saying, "I'm imagining a rope around your neck." He's getting all horny about it and having his lustful thoughts in the hellfire. Disney, you have got some problems. You need to go to counselling as far as I'm concerned. There's also another bit. They talked about anime. I wish I had some involvement in that because I've been talking about adult animation for a long time. The only reason why I got into BBFC ratings was because I couldn't watch South Park being long and uncut as a kid. And then slightly a little later, Ghost in the Shell and Perfect Blue came out on like U-Direct, which is almost like a competitor to Sky Box Office, and I was like upset that I couldn't watch it, even though they were cartoons or animations, but they were Japanese ones, 15 and 18 rated. Couldn't watch them, and it bothered me for years until I managed to buy Ghost in the Shell on DVD, underage. That was at Borders, I think, or W.H. Smith. One of those places. I was a tall person. I had a mustache. Oh, bless the 2000s. But, nevertheless, moving on. Oh, God. What was AI technology. The new cleared program that they're going to be offering that tries to help streamline the process of using metadata on filmed media, films, television, videos, for submission to consideration by the board. And they sort of use AI technology to trace by context and the certain issues that are being depicted in that state what will turn a youth from PG, a PG to 12, a 12 to 15, to an 15 to 18, or an 18 pretty much rejected or banned. Like To Kill a War Machine, or Reality Killers, or Murder Set Pieces, and Grotesque were banned. I'm not going to go into one of them because the government says you can't watch it anymore, even though it was originally rated 15. Uncut, by the way. But you can watch Skywalkers, which is a movie about people climb up on high buildings. And that passed with an 18. For people walking high on buildings without safeguards. That is weird. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. In America, it's a rated R film for language, not for dangerous and criminal behaviour. Skywalkers are loved. What are you smoking? And then again, they probably were smoking a lot when they gave Sausage Party Foodtopia an 18 just because it shows a cartoon man getting masturbated on by a sausage and there's jism or ejaculate spread upon this Frank the Sausage. It's a great film. Series 1 is good. I don't know if I'll see Series 2 because some things best be kept closed. It's for the same reasons I didn't see the TED TV series that they somehow brought back from the grave without Mark Wahlberg. It was with another character who's a lot younger, Max Burkholder, I think is his name. But nevertheless, this is also the first BBFC report that I've seen a lot of mentions of animation in all categories, including 18 and 15 and 12A, which for me appeals to my nerdiness and my obsession with classification and filmmakers. Because when I was growing up, animation was always viewed as this sort of kids' fare. But even if you had stuff like the South Park and even Simpsons was considered adult animation, you generally is put in with the regular comedies like Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm and Only Fools and Horses, not with your kids stuff like Rugrats and SpongeBob SquarePants. But to me, I viewed it as just an animation, so it didn't bother me as much, even though in hindsight, yes, some of it was quite inappropriate. And I was happy to see Censorship Foodtopia, but then also Classroom Heroes or something. And Look Back, these were like anime titles, and even at the PG level, Piece by Piece is a great film about Pharrell Williams. It's uses Lego animation that has scenes of him sort of implied where he's like hanging around with Snoop Dogg and the whole music studio smells like cannabis. Past PG uncut. It's got freezes of shit, jokes about sex, and zooms in with the boom boom and references to Black Lives Matter. This is a movie that's gonna upset parents for days, and I love it. Make the parents angry. I hope Trump does ban South Park for all I care, because I wasn't allowed to watch as a kid. So you'll do everyone a favour and make more people watch, as far as I'm concerned. Showing, cartoon Trump with his penis out having sex with Satan, implying he's gay. I mean, he probably is a closeted homosexual, bisexual, because he has fantasies about Arnold Palmer in the showers. He's like, oh my god, that's unbelievable. I saw the little clip, and then saw sucking it off. Like a function for one of his rallies. It just was weird. What are you hiding, man? Alright, that's enough. But yes, very entertaining reading. I do think censoring scenes of cockfighting and horsewide tripping, right, there's animal cruelty and animal rights issue, I think is a bit excessive if you ask me, mainly because people always find a way to buy forbidden fruit or things that have been censored within their own country and get it elsewhere. That is, if customs officers don't get a hold of what you have and think this is suspect. So if you're thinking about getting, let's say, an old western that shows people tripping their horses, make sure UK Border Force or the customs enforcement at Heathrow and Gatwick Airport don't find what you have. Oh no, this won't pass. The BBFC does not allow scenes of horses being tripped over or scenes of cockfighting, if you ask me. Which sounds to me they don't Keir Starmer. After all, he used to work for the Director of Public Prosecutions, is that right? They also wants to ban Bob Whelan and NACAP as well for being incendiary and anti-Semitic. But, yeah, it's a great piece of literature. I'm trying to think of... They do mention Kneecap, the film itself, from last year. That's actually how I first heard about the band, because I didn't know who they were. Same with Bob Whelan. I only knew about him because of that little fuck-up that he did at Glastonbury 2025. It's a great film, Kneecap. The fact that it's largely in Irish, a Gaelic, is something you don't see ever in movies. A Quiet Girl was the last film I'm aware that was predominantly in Gaelic, and a little film that Cillian Murphy did had one of the co-stars from the movie Garage, where he plays Breffney, and he's like, in Tara here at the gay and the gone. I come the master, come here rashe, in our own August Kosh, cushion in as far, ma August on the Brooking and ish. I can't speak Gaelic or Irish, but I tried. And now I've lost for words what I was going to say. But hopefully I can do more of these videos as the years go on. I know I didn't do one for last year because the 2023 report came out very late because of the election that happened, where Starmer's Labour Party won in the landslide, so they had to hold things off until at least like November, October. So we didn't get quite late, but this one came in at the right time. Late July is always when they release their annual reports, and this one's no different. In fact, this one is certainly one of the most entertaining I have read. And you had a lot of good films that came out in 2024. Some of them, I don't think they got much in the detail about, like Maxine, the one with Mia Goth. There's like a Hollywood star trying to get out from the porno industry. In a Violent Nature wasn't mentioned. They mentioned Terrifier 3, which is one of the most violent movies I have ever seen, but they don't go much into detail about it. The American Society of Magical Negroes was not discussed. That would have been an interesting one to talk about henceforth because of the title. It's quite shocking. Oh, could be interpreted as racist or with irony. No, they didn't talk about Civil War. Perfect Days, which was my favourite film of 2024, didn't get any mention. Poor Things was on the 2023 report. That was not on 2024. I don't even think The Brutalist even got mentioned on this report. Maybe it might be for next year, but we'll wait and see. They can only fill so much space. And they've done as good as I thought they would under the new guidelines where they had to change a lot of things. Being stricter on the sex at the 12-15 borderline and being more tougher on swearing, especially with son of a bitch and dick now being considered 12 words, not PG words. So, ding dong. But they did mention about Origin. They did mention about Queer, which I thought, oh, the censor's not going to like this. It's too LGBT. They well, the US passed it on with an R rating uncut, so quite bold of them. That's about as much as I can remember. I wish they did mention about Kizumo Torgari Koyome, because that was an anime film that was released in cinemas at the Odeon in Greenwich. My car broke down a little bit afterwards, after I saw that film, by the way, so that was God's way of saying, hey, don't miss out on this. Even if your car breaks, then you have to call the AA. Yeah. A few things they could... And Blink Twice is the film they really should have talked about the most because of that disclaimer that they played at the beginning, warning about the sexual assault, rape content in the film, that certain cinemas, but the one I went to, the Curzon, they didn't have it, but they mentioned with a disclaimer, courtesy of Amazon and MGM, that the film contains scenes that were quite disturbing, involving sexual violence or rape and other kinds of violence. That would have been quite nice to talk about, especially because of that disclaimer that took everyone by surprise. But they were just being cautious because the film It Ends With Us didn't have such content disclaimers that came before it. And It Ends With Us was a film that they did mention on the 15 side of things, on the BBFC report. And it was controversial because of also those lawsuits between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, saying, you know, maltreatment, possible sexual harassment. Talk about unnecessary as far as I'm concerned. That damages the film. Damages. Well, at least I'll be ready for 2025 when they'll be talking about, oh, Superman, oh, it's woke, he's talking about immigrant, oh, it has a sort of pro-Palestine message, or No Other Land. That's a movie that really should have been talked about on here. But they might talk about it next year. That was very controversial. But, yeah. Anyways, my brain's not working. I need to eat. Signing off. Till next time, thank you for watching Skinny Eat Media. I don't know when I'll be doing the next podcast of BBFC VMPAA, but stay tuned and watch this space whenever you